This week on the internet, the series will talk about all the topics of missed during the week. And first up, we have Discord spybot problem. So there was a spybot that scraped billions of public Discord messages and posted them online with usernames attached. Thankfully, the site has been taken down because I don't think it's good for society for people to easily look up whatever you said in a random public Discord server, even if they're not in it. Because this bot was just going into every public Discord server that it could access, which could have been a server that was public, but not really. Like maybe you and your friends have it set to public and the link exists somewhere, but it's not really meant for the public. Not only is this a privacy concern and kind of creepy, but it was also just a concern for Discord itself, because I can't imagine they want a bunch of bots coming through billions of messages, because that sounds like their servers would not be having a good time. And to be clear, this bot was not scraping private DMs or completely private servers. It was just joining literally any server the account could get a link to. So if you value any privacy at all, it is a good thing this got shut down. And next up, we have Todd insisting he knows why gamers didn't like Starfield, and he thinks it was because it was too different from the games they made in the past, which is actually just wrong. People don't like the game because it is too similar to what they made in the past, in the worst ways. It has all the problems previous Bethesda games had, with more annoying loading screens and less cool things. It's just a worse version of any Bethesda game you can think of. And this is coming from somebody who played Starfield. I played it and I enjoyed it for a while, and then I started getting loading screen after loading screen after loading screen. I already hate quests where it's just going to talk to one person and then talking to another person. But in a universe where there's spaceships, your first thought is, why can't they just call? And then your second thought is, why is there 4 loading screens just to talk to this one guy? It's actually infuriating. And I played Fallout 4. That game is so much better. And it's all because the environment's more fleshed out and doesn't have loading screens constantly. Like, your only method for traversing planets that are empty is running. It is so unbelievably boring. And Todd insisting why he knows gamers didn't like Starfield is exactly why you should temper your expectations for the new Elder Scrolls game, because that game is gonna suck. And next up, we have Adin doing something good for the first time in his life. Adin just called on Kick to stop letting people stream reckless driving, and I am shocked it was Adin who came to this conclusion. And I agree with him. There's been a lot of instances recently, and I'm not gonna show any footage because it's actually brain dead, but driving streams on Kick have literally just been criminal. Like, if a cop saw them doing it, they'd be arrested on the spot. And the amount of car crash stream headlines I've been seeing recently shows it's a big problem. And if Kick doesn't properly crack down on it, the government will eventually get involved. They don't really act until something bad happens, but at this rate, something very bad will happen within 6 months. And next up, we have 7-Eleven making a Slurpee handheld to play Tetris on. I think this is kind of cool. It reminds me of the old toys that came with the kids meal at fast food places, but this will not come with your Slurpee purchase. It's gonna cost $30 on 7-Eleven collections, which I did not know existed till just now. And it's also a lot like old handhelds because it takes 3 AAA batteries, and they will most certainly only last 30 minutes. You can also just plug it in with a USB-C cable, which makes me wonder why it doesn't have a rechargeable battery, but yeah. Tetris Slurpee. And next up, we have Take-Two killing 2 studios. Roll7, who made Roller Dome, and Intercept Games, who made Kerbal Space Program 2. And this frankly pissed me off, because Roller Dome is a fantastic game, and I am annoyed that they killed the studio after they made such a good game. And I am pretty sure it also sold well. And Kerbal Space Program 2 kinda sucks, but the first game was good. I'm just not happy about this because I know Take-Two Interactive has infinite money, and I don't like people getting laid off in general, but especially not when they make successful products. It's pretty brutal to lay off studios that made stuff that does well, and I'm just not a fan of the practice, especially when the CEO got a huge pay raise that could have just gone to these studios for a year and they would have been fine. The CEO is just a greedy sleazebag, and I hope everyone laid off can find a job somewhere that appreciates their efforts. Next up, we have TikTok actually being banned if they don't sell to a US company. And about a month ago, I said the same exact thing and I was wrong. Sorry about that, but now it's true. But this isn't surprising because the government was pretty dead set on getting this passed. And it's looking like TikTok will not sell. And if a US company does end up buying TikTok, they will most likely not get their algorithm because they do not want another company having this algorithm, which is entirely fair. And the bill pretty much just targets TikTok. I don't think this bill is going to be abused, and I don't think this bill will ever affect a US company. I'm not a lawyer, just so we're on the same page, but from what I read in this bill, it could never be used against a US company. And I also agree that TikTok was collecting user data, but I also think every social media site also collects user data, and as a US citizen, I would really appreciate the government doing their job and cracking down on all data brokers. That's basically the reason they banned TikTok. It was because it was spying on Americans, so can you guys stop everyone else too, please? And as for TikTok and China, I don't feel any sympathy. China has blocked every US website since they got the internet, and TikTok has to do whatever the Chinese government tells them to do. That is just the way the current government works in China. There was a Chinese billionaire who disappeared after slightly criticizing China's economic policy. It doesn't matter who you are in China, if they want something, they're gonna get it. Which is why I kinda don't care if they're banned. If the Chinese government wanted anything from TikTok, they would do it, because they'd have to do it or their company would disappear. And compared to here in the US, a company can refuse to do something for the government. Like how the police keep begging Apple Apple to unlock iPhones, and they keep saying no. I much prefer the system where a company can refuse to work with the government over the one where billionaires disappear for slightly criticizing economic policy. And also in TikTok news, UMG and TikTok have finally reached an agreement. So UMG Music should be returning to TikTok very soon. And it's hard to tell who got the better deal because this whole situation was them basically testing who needs who more, but they're apparently going to be working on AI tools for music and shop integration features as well as new monetization opportunities, which is corpo speak for, we're going to sell so much merch on TikTok. The biggest positive with this is UMG Music will be available to use on TikTok once again. But if you're a creator on TikTok, I wouldn't trust this. If you want to make content that you want to keep on TikTok for a long time, I wouldn't use UMG Music because the last time their contract ended, the music was retroactively pulled. And with TikTok's future really uncertain at this point, I wouldn't trust this deal to renew again. And next up, we have a new V12 Ferrari, and it looks like an electric car, but it's not. But let's be honest, no one watching this video is going to buy this anytime soon, and Ferrari is kind of cringe. This car looks pretty alright, but if you modify it all, Ferrari might sue you. And with that being said, next up we have Tesla probably making the dumbest move they ever have and will. Elon Musk is desperate for a huge multi-billion-dollar pay package, and to get it, he laid off a bunch of staff, including the entire supercharger team. You know, the team that successfully made a charging network that spans the entire US and a lot of Europe. Yeah. He laid off that entire team. This is just dumb. One of the biggest reasons to get a Tesla is the supercharging network. And if they laid off all the people that made it good, it's gonna start sucking. And that's not the only reason this is bad for Tesla. This team was laid off, which means the competition that couldn't make EV chargers that are reliable to save their lives just got the opportunity to hire literally the best in the business. It is such a brain dead choice. I don't understand it at all. But next up we have Spotify paywalling previously free features. The show lyrics feature will have a limit to how many times you can use it before it prompts you with this message. Unless, of course, you have a Spotify subscription. I am never a fan of paywalling previously free features, and I don't think Spotify should be paywalling this at all, because it's not like lyrics are hard to find. You can just find them everywhere online, and they're also more accurate. It's just silly. I also doubt they'll revert it, because this change came after they tried restricting the feature for select free users completely. So in Spotify's mind, this is an improvement. But next up, we have another Boeing whistleblower suddenly dying after becoming a problem for Boeing. His name is Joshua Adin, and he was a former quality auditor at Spirit Aerosystems for Boeing, and he warned about the 737 MAX defects, and then suddenly died due to a fast-spreading infection. Compared to the first whistleblower that died after talking about Boeing, this death seems a lot less suspicious, because the first whistleblower apparently offed himself after telling everyone if he died, it wasn't him. But when a company has a track record of the most suspicious deaths imaginable, I'm going to assume they did it. Legally speaking, Boeing may or may not have done this, but in my personal opinion, Boeing did do this. And next up, we have a kinda okay Twitter update, which is actually shocking. If someone that blocked you replies to your tweets, you will be able to see that tweet, which I think is fine. If you block somebody and you're still yapping at them, you deserve some pushback. Also in Twitter news, it has been banned in Pakistan. And honestly, I'm surprised it already wasn't, because Pakistan has banned websites containing not safe for work content since 2011. And guess what Twitter has way too much of? But the Pakistan government said it was for national security reasons, which is code for they're all in r/nofap. But for real though, this is probably more related to recent protests, because the current government's political rival is extremely popular on Twitter. They're actually the most followed account in Pakistan, and that party in general is extremely active on Twitter. And if I was the government desperately clinging to my power, banning the website where my rival's party organizes is a good idea. If it wasn't obvious, I'm not a fan of any country doing stuff like this, but what do you expect? It's not like Pakistan is known for their freedoms. And next up, we have Walmart opening a store in Roblox. And I might make a full video on this because it is so goofy. It's called Walmart Discovered, and you go into the game, log into a virtual computer, and buy things on the Walmart website in Roblox. It's had 20 million visits and currently has 260 active users. And since most of the games I randomly clicked onto the homepage are in the billions, I'm gonna assume Walmart Discovered is not doing that well. But also in Roblox news, Stranger Things and One Piece are collabing with Roblox. And these two shows being put together really confused me until I figured out that it was the live action One Piece they were talking about, which is owned by Netflix, which makes sense because Stranger Things is owned by Netflix. There isn't much information about it, but I imagine it'll be a Roblox experience. So if you play Roblox, you might care about this, or you might hate it, because Roblox is working with corporations now, instead of just relying on child labor like they always have. And next up, we have HellDivers 2 drama. Sony has required all players to connect a PSN account to play on Steam before May 30th. And this changes after not requiring it for 3 months. Now, there is a ton of issues with this, and I'm gonna make a full video going over all of it tomorrow, because there is so much information that keeps piling up. I was originally just gonna put it in here right now, but there's a lot. So TLDR, Sony is bad and changed their policy, and if it goes through, tens of thousands of players at least will not be able to play the game that they bought. And next up, we have Windows 11 adding ads to the release version of Windows 11. So I made a video about this a little over a week ago, and the day after I made that video, Microsoft put those ads in all versions of Windows 11, when originally it was just in the beta release release version for testing. So if you have Windows 11 and don't like ads, here is how you turn off those ads. And I've said it before, but I hate this. Every version of Windows after Windows 7 has sucked to varying degrees, and I strongly believe that Microsoft should make their operating system not bad before they add things like ads, especially since you pay for Windows. It's not free. Microsoft should not be putting ads in a fully priced program. It's an operating system, not the newest COD release. And next up, Moist Critical is suing US immigration because basically they kept denying visas for esports players in his org on no grounds, according to Critical. And I agree, US immigration is horrid. I have heard many stories from a lot of different people, and even if they win this lawsuit, US immigration legally can't pay them any money as damages, which is insane because barring the players on his team from entering the country directly cost them time, money, and legal fees. And despite the US basically ruining their chances of winning the tournament, they still won, which is sick. I hope the decision to block them from entering the country is overturned though, because that is literally the best they'll get. But next up, we have The Boys Season 4 getting a trailer and a release date of June 13th for the first 3 episodes, and then after that, it will be weekly releases. I'm a fan of The Boys, and I just really hope this lives up to the previous seasons. But that's been the weekly recap. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Twitter at spatnz1. Click the answer, check out more of my content, and have a good one.